We are on 7 platforms this morning. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, all simultaneously. We are on TikTok, we are on Trovo and Twitch, and 2 Facebook pages. So let's get started. So we're going to talk about fear and manifestation, or you can call it fear and goal setting. Okay, because goal setting, manifestation, it's the same thing. So vibrational misalignment is what it's called. Okay, now what does that mean? Well, if you're not on the same vibration as the things that you are trying to bring into your world or manifest, then you're not in alignment. And if you're not in vibrational alignment with something, it won't come to you. It just won't. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Okay, well, let's say, for example, you want to bring something good into your world, but you're not feeling good. So you're not feeling good or you're angry. Okay, so anger pushes things away, it's a negative vibration. All the negative emotions are rooted in fear. All the negative vibrations are also rooted in fear. So, how do you change that? Well, you change your mood. When you change your mood, you change your vibration. Okay, so people that have changed their mood, good morning, Jay. People that have changed their mood to, let's say, mostly positive. You remember how we do the line in the middle? Okay, the 50 percentile right here. Okay, and this is good, this is bad, this is positive, this is negative, and how we move it 51%, we move it 1% over the line so that now the majority is positive. Okay, so we can say that all these emotions here, now that you're 51% positive, okay, so your life will be 51% good, or the majority of your life would be 51% good, right? Now, all of these are related to love on the highest end. And all of these negative emotions are rooted in fear on the negative end. So it's not a love hate thing, it's a love fear thing. Because when you're in fear, okay, you're being kept from everything that is of love. So joy, love, peace, harmony, all of those things are all of love. And fear deters all of that. So it's like if you're fearing, okay, or any negative emotions, so fear, hesitation, procrastination, all of those things are like putting up a force field here, okay? And your goodness can't get to you because you're fearing, you're projecting fear, you're projecting that vibration. And when you're projecting fear, and fear is also insecurity, all of these things are rooted in fear, okay? Any form of negativity is rooted in fear. So it's like having an energetic force field here, and your goodness can't get to you. But when you change this, when fear dissipates and it goes down and it goes away, now the goodness can come to you. Okay, so that's a visual. That's a visual for you to look at. Okay, so now, good morning, old Celia. Good morning, Miles. Good morning. So when we talk about negative emotions, when we talk about negative emotions and how it repels everything, okay? So there's attraction and there's repel, okay? So when you repel something, you're pushing it away. When you attract something, you're bringing it in. Okay, so when you're in a good mood, don't you notice that all these things happen, all these good things happen? Okay, if you're in a bad mood, try standing in a Starbucks and just being in a bad mood. See how many people come up and say hi. Nobody comes up and says hi, right? They want to leave you alone. Why? Because you are projecting negative energy. Now, if you project friendly energy, what happens? People come up, say hello, people are friendly, people are open. Why? Because you're open. Okay? So, how do you, how does fear play a role in blocking manifestation? Well, fear is a low frequency emotion, okay? When you dwell in fear, you emit a frequency that attracts more of what you don't want because it's negative. Okay? So when you focus on lack, right? Fear is a part of that because you're focusing on lack. You're afraid. So here's the thing, right? When you get bills in the mail, when you get bills threaten your paycheck, right? It's threatening to your paycheck. Bills are telling you that when the paycheck comes, all of these bill amounts are going to be taken out of that because you have to pay these bills now. So that puts you in a state of fear, right? Because you're afraid of what? Afraid of loss. Okay, so here's a tip I have for you for that. Okay, and I did this a long, long time ago because I had several companies, and I still do, but I had an office that all of my companies operated out of, a physical office, and we still have a physical office. It's just in a different location now. But I had this office where I started doing this practice. And so I had an inbox. And what I used to do is I used to put all the bills in the inbox and I would not open them until it was time to pay the bills. So there was no fear involved. Okay, because if you don't know what the bill is, okay, maybe you have an idea, right? The phone bill comes. But when you open the bill and you look at it and you read it, what happens? It doesn't make you feel good, does it? No, because you know that that amount has to go out, that you have to pay that amount. Okay, so what's the solution? The solution is if you don't look at it, you're not going to fear. If you don't look at it, it's not going to bother you, right? Until you look at it. So what I started doing was I would stack all the bills and I would wait until the time would come where I'm ready to pay the bill and then I would pay the bills. Okay, but until that time, right? Because I found out that if I opened the phone bill, right, maybe 2 weeks before I would pay it, I would be thinking about that, right? For 2 weeks, I'd be thinking, oh man, I got to pay $300 for the phone bill, whatever. Okay, whatever it is. But then it keeps you in a state of fear. Why? Because now you know when you get paid, that amount just goes for the phone. So it puts you in a state of fear. Fear of loss. Now, if you're in a relationship, let's take a relationship. You want to take relationship? If you're in a relationship and you're afraid of losing your significant other, guess what's going to happen? You're going to produce these negative vibes that is going to alert her, okay? And if you think I'm joking, just try it, okay? Fear of loss. You're afraid to lose her. Guess what happens when you start fearing that? You're going to start producing actions that are conducive to pushing her away. So don't fear loss. Okay? The more, guys get needy, right? Girls too, but I'm just saying, right? Let's take guys for an example. So when a guy gets needy, right? He gets needy. He's suffering from fear of loss. He's afraid he's going to lose her. And if you're like that, and if you're operating out of fear, like, oh man, I'm going to lose her. I gotta do something. I'm going to lose her. Then what happened? What do we call that? We call it desperation. Okay, he's desperate because now he's focused on, oh my God, I'm going to lose her. I'm going to lose her. I'm going to lose her. Now he's operating out of fear. Okay. Livina, good morning. Ludivina Martin, good morning. Yeah, so true, right? Yeah, you start stressing out like that, okay? So I have my Facebook audience up there. Down here, I have my international audience. But yeah, that's true. So here's what you do, right? Just keep all of your bills, just stack all of your bills. Don't open them. Don't look at them until you have the money ready, and then okay, it's pay bill day, right? And you have all the money together. Now you open the envelopes and then you pay all the bills. It works very, very good that way. Okay. It took a lot of worry and a lot of fear out of my life. Hey Jules. Jules Juju. How you doing? Welcome. So that's one thing. But if you have fear of loss, okay, if you're a girl and you're afraid of losing your guy, you're going to start producing actions that appear to be desperate, okay, that appear to be, right? And you can smell, girls can smell desperation on a dude. Okay, dudes, they're not that, they're not that keen, okay? They're not that, their senses are not that sharp, not like a woman's. Because why? Because women have children. Women are engineered to have babies, to be mama bears. So their intuition is sharper. Their senses are sharper. They can sense the creep when they walk in a room, walk in a Starbucks, they can tell you which guy's creepy, right? Okay, so if you're a guy and you're doing, thinking desperately, and you're going to start acting desperately, she's going to sense it like that. Okay, so fear of loss. We're talking about fear of loss in a relationship. Okay, so if you start fearing, like, oh boy, I'm going to lose her. I got to start doing something. I'm going to lose her. I got it, right? Okay, you're going to lose her. That's just the way it is. Girls, same thing. If you are desperate because you think that he's going to leave you and now you're operating out of fear of loss, guess what? Guess what? You're going to push him away. Okay? What's the solution? Don't care. Don't care. If she stays, she stays. If he stays, he stays. If he goes, he goes. Whatever. And if he goes, you'll be fine. And if she goes, you'll be fine. Okay? Basically. Because when you start acting out of fear, you're acting out of a low vibration. Okay, now this is the 50 percentile, okay? This is good, this is bad. If you're operating out of fear of loss, okay, you're producing actions that are the result of fearing loss or potential loss. Now you're operating over here. Okay, so conflicting signals, okay, conflicting emotions, okay, conflicting emotion, indecision. Okay, I'm very indecisive. I need to figure things out like that, right? And I weigh things like that. And I go, well, maybe I should do this. And I think about it, maybe I should do that. And then, maybe I should do this. It's a Libra thing, okay? But seriously, it is a thing, okay? And conflicting signals might consciously desire success or positivity, okay? But then subconsciously, you fear failure or judgment. Now, subconscious, right? We talk about subconscious every day on this live, every day. Okay, because there is only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Okay, so in your subconscious, okay, these are things that you don't think about. So sometimes it's called the unconscious mind. Some people refer to it as that. Okay, because you're not really aware of what your subconscious believes, or what is in your subconscious. Okay, now your subconscious is not just a state of mind. Your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. And your senses retrieve data. They accumulate data. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you touch, right? Everything you say, okay? And you accumulate this data into your subconscious. Once you accumulate all of this data into your subconscious, a consensus is formed based on the majority. What does that mean? That means your subconscious, based upon what you think about the most, will start to believe it. Okay? So now when you have conflicting signals, what does that mean? Well, that means, some people go, oh yeah, I love money. I love money. Yeah, I love to have money. Okay? But then when they're presented with something about money, right? They go, oh, well, I can't afford that. Well, that's for rich people. I can't pay $200 for a bottle of vodka. That's ridiculous. That's very, okay. There's your conflicting thought. What's the solution? Be open. Be open. Don't pass judgment on things in negativity or lack. I cannot afford this. Only rich people have this. Only rich people drive Rolls Royces. Only rich people drive Mercedes. Only rich people have BMWs. The same goes for rationalizing yourself out of something. Oh, I'm saving money. I'm going to save money. So, yeah, I'm going to save money, so I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this because I'm saving money. Is that lack or abundance? It's lack. So, what is abundance? Abundance is believing that anything is possible for you. Abundance is believing that anything is attainable. And the how is God's job. The how is always God's job. I know so many people that believe in God, yet they pronounce things upon themselves like, I can't afford that. Oh, that's too expensive. That's not for me. Well, if you believe in God, then why do you doubt? Why do you pronounce lack upon yourself if you believe in God? If you believe that there's a higher energy, a higher source, if you believe that there's a higher power, if you want to call it God or the superconscious, right? There's only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Now the superconscious is God. If you want to say it that way, the superconscious is God or source or universe or Allah or Jesus Christ. But that's the superconscious. That's the representation of that. And that works with the subconscious on your behalf. So why would you pronounce lack upon yourself? Why would you place limitations on yourself? See? So those are conflicting emotions. Those are conflicting vibrations. Those are conflicting thoughts. On one hand, you say, oh, I love money. Yeah, I have no problem with money. I love money. I love accepting money. And then somebody gives you a $100 bill and you go, wait, what's that for? What's that for? And you're like that. You have a hang up about money if you do that. You ever see the people that handle credit cards? They'll take your credit card and they'll hold it like this, like it's a sacred object, like they're worshiping money. Right? And they'll take it like this and they'll go do your church and they'll bring it back and they'll hand it to you like this. They're worshiping money. Don't worship money. Money is an energy, but money is an object. Money serves a purpose. Money is not your God. Okay? The superconscious is your God, not money. Money is not even a representation of God. You're a representation of God. You are a representation of God. You are a part of God because God lives in here. God lives in here. The kingdom is within. Jesus Christ said it. Krishna said it. Gautama Buddha said it. You name it. They said it. The kingdom is in here. So why are you paying homage with the credit card like this, like it's a sacred object? It's not sacred. You know, when you give somebody money and they take your money like this and like it's a sacred thing, they have hang-ups about money. No, you can still make a lot of money and have hang-ups about money. You can still have a bad attitude about money and make money. Making money is not the issue. The issue is having money stick. Or let's say it another way, consistently accumulating or accruing money. There's a lot of people that make fast money, right? You know, there's a lot of people that make money illegally. And for a while, you see them accrue a lot of money. And then all of a sudden, boom, something happens, it's all gone. Or they get arrested. Or something happens that takes the money away. When you have a bad attitude about money, money comes in over here, money goes out over here. Sometimes it goes out as fast as it comes in, like this, like this, like that. Okay? In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. And when money is moving that fast, there's no time to grab some and put some in the bank or grab some and put some in the stock market because it's going like this. It's just coming in over here, going out over there. Money's going out as fast as it comes in. Why? Because money is not sticking. Because money, when money is not sticking, it's not coming in the right way. Okay, a lot of people, right? Oh, well, I just made $1,000. Oh, I just got this bill over here for $998. Now I have $2. Okay, there's no money to put in the bank. There's no money to invest. There's no money for those things. Because now you've created a situation where you have conflicting emotions about money. On one hand, you love money. You're accepting it over here. On the other hand, fear is involved. And when fear is involved, right, I can't afford this, I can't afford that, I can't, right, that kind of thing. Okay, and it doesn't have to be that. It could be, that's too expensive. You know, I remember walking into Costco at one point in my life when things started to turn in my life. So in 2007, I went down the rabbit hole, did all this research and did all this study. And by 2008, 2009, I would walk in a store and I could afford anything in the store. And I walked out with very little because to me, right, to me, the important thing was I can afford anything in this store. I can buy anything in this store. And I walked out with very little. So your attitude about money will change when you change your subconscious beliefs about money. Your entire attitude will change. So let's take a look at the tree, the subconscious tree, okay? So the roots are your beliefs, your core beliefs, subconscious beliefs, the roots, okay? The trunk of the tree is your paradigm or how you see the world based upon what you believe, okay? Now, when we go up to the fruits of the tree, these are your actions. And actions produce results. And these actions are based upon how you see the world based upon what you believe. That's how the tree works. There is only the conscious, subconscious, superconscious. And how do you achieve this? How do you install new beliefs? Affirmations, meditation, focalization, and visualization. The fastest way. So when I learned how to do this, my attitude about money changed. I give money away. I give more money away now. Because I don't spend money, I circulate it. Change your vocabulary about it. Change the way you speak about it. You circulate money. You don't spend money. Spend implies that you spend it, it's gone, it's done. When you circulate, it comes back. Circulate money. I circulate money all the time. I make money over here, I give it over there, it comes back over here, I give it over there. And sometimes I give it to taxes. Sometimes I give it to bills, right? Just like anybody else. Okay, bills. Sometimes I give it to people. Sometimes it's a gift. Okay, but it comes over here, it goes over there. Comes over here, and now I'm giving. And now I'm circulating. Okay, that's very different than having it coming over here, okay, and getting drained over here. Because over here, something's taking it from you. Okay, if this is how it is, like this, okay, but if you're receiving and then giving, and receiving and giving and circulating, now it's going in a circle. Now you have a cycle. It's not just fast money piling up and then boom, something happens and it all goes. So you need to circulate. You need to circulate instead of spend. Okay, no such thing as spending money. If you do that, it's all gone. What are you going to do? Right? Circulate. Okay. So conflicting signals are when you think something or you perform these actions up here without the beliefs in your subconscious or the roots of the tree. That's how it's different. Okay, now, self-sabotage. We all do that. I do that. We all do that. Self-sabotage. How does that happen? Well, fear can lead to procrastination. The longer you put something off, the greater the degree, okay, the greater potential it has to fail. The longer you say, okay, no, I'm going to put this off. When you start saying that, you're putting this off, you're putting this off, what are you really saying? There's something about this that I'm uncomfortable with. There's something about this that I'm fearing. There's something about this, right? And so every negative emotion is rooted in fear. So there's something here that you're not really down with, something you don't really agree with. Okay, self-sabotage, indecision, abandoning goals, preventing inspired action. So when you get inspired action, that's the right brain. What does your left brain do? Your logic reptilian brain. It rationalizes you out of your intuitive thought. Okay, so intuitive thought, well, maybe I should do a side hustle. I have this brilliant idea for a side hustle. And then your left brain kicks in. You remember what happened the last time you had an idea? Yeah, it didn't go so well, did it? That kind of thing. And you start to rationalize, logically rationalize yourself out of it. Or let's say it another way, talking yourself out of it, but that's your left brain doing that. You're having this internal dialogue, but this internal dialogue is conflicting. Okay, when you get conflicting signals, what happens? Self-sabotage. Not having self-sabotage or not sabotaging yourself. Hey, poetry man, all right. Hope the fishing is good today, brother. Instagram over there, Facebook over here, and our international accounts over here. So sorry, I have three cameras going on. But self-sabotage, right? When you sabotage yourself, nobody's helping you do this. You're doing it all on your own. Because your right hemisphere of your brain is where you get the creative thought, where you get intuitive thought, where God talks to you. There's a reason why Jesus lives at the right hand or sits at the right hand of the Father. That's where intuitive thought comes from. That's where the subconscious works with the superconscious. Okay, a superconscious is not up. I'm just doing this for sake of visuals. Okay, but the subconscious works with the superconscious. Where is it all located? It's all located in here. The kingdom is within. The kingdom is in here. It's all within you. So when you have this internal dialogue, you need to quiet the left brain. You need to pay attention to the right brain. You need to act on intuitive thought. When you act on intuitive thought, guess what happens? Okay, let's go back to the scenario about driving down the street and you get the feeling to turn right, but you have free will and you go no. Okay, or you use your left brain logically and say, no, I'm going to go to the next light. And then you get stuck in a traffic jam. What do? You go, I knew I should have turned back there. Because you did know. You were warned. Now, how did that happen? You were warned not to. You were warned to turn. Okay, it wasn't a voice, it was a feeling, but you got that feeling to turn. Something was guiding you, but you said no. You said no. I'm going to go to the next light. And then you got stuck in the traffic jam. And then what? Then you said, I knew I should have done that. Because you did know. You got the right information. If you trust that more, then you trust your logic brain, your left hemisphere, okay? The left reptilian brain. If you trust the right side more, you'll get better results. Trust your intuition. Okay, so common fears that block manifestation. Okay, fear of failure or success, one of the two. Some people fear success. When they start getting successful, it scares them. Fear. When they start doing something and it starts happening and money starts coming in, go, whoa. Right? They go, wow, there's money now. There never was money before. There's money now, right? That happened to me. That happened to me in 1999 when I started doing things and things started clicking and things started working. And all of a sudden, people were requesting my presence and my entertainment at their venues, and contracts started. I had to go make contracts. I had to buy equipment. So an entire business was formed. It was called the Junior Kekuewa Junior Roadshow. You can look it up. It's on Facebook. Everything we ever did is on there. It goes back years and years and years, 15 years of it. But in the beginning, it was like, what? We were thrown into it. We were tested by fire. We didn't know what to charge. Oh, how much you charge? 300. Next party was like, after we said that, right? And the next party was like, is it 300? Is it 500? Let's go 500. 500. Then 1,200. Pretty soon it was like $19.99. we could do a complete party package, $19.99. Okay. But the point is, sometimes things just happen like that. And then things go, right? Things are going. Money's coming in. And pretty soon it clouds your thinking. If you're not prepared. Luckily, I had a mentor. Luckily, I had a few mentors, okay? And luckily, at that time, when things started clicking, I knew what to do. I didn't know what to charge. I didn't know how. The how was God's job. I just knew what and why. And the what was, we're doing this entertainment thing, and the why was because this was my dream. And I only live my dreams. And that was the only rule I have. Till today, that's the only rule I have. So every goal I make, everything that I target has to do with one of my dreams or one of my fantasies or all of the above. That's the only thing I do. And yeah, there was a time when I looked at Tony Robbins, and there was a time where I looked at Bob Proctor, and I studied under Bob Proctor, and I studied under, several people. Mike Dooley, I studied under Mike Dooley. There's a picture of Mike and I on my Facebook. But there was a time where I looked at these guys and I go, you know what? That's what I want to do. I want to jump on a plane and I want to go to all these different places and give all these talks to all these people. And then I found out I could do it like this. Oh, I don't have to leave the house. I can do it like this. So I do it like this. So when I get an idea, I act on inspired thought. I act on the idea. When you get inspired thought, act on it. It's what you should do. Trust your crazy ideas. So many people don't trust their crazy ideas, especially women. Okay, why? Because women are emotional creatures. And guess what? A lot of men or other women, right, fault them for it. They go, oh, this is a crazy idea. That's just a crazy idea. Sometimes people say that because they're jealous. Because of whatever reason, right? Wow, that kind of thing. Sometimes they do it because men do it to women because men don't have that capability. We don't think like that. We're engineered different. Women are engineered to be mama bears. So they have a heightened sense of intuition. That's why they call it women's intuition. My clients have always been women. Always. The majority. The majority have always been women since 1989 until now. The life coaching since 2010 till now. In my perception, it's just chicks dig me. That's how I look at it. But here's what I'll tell you, okay? When women begin to trust their intuition, they're multitaskers. They start to manifest a lot, okay? And if you're married to a woman, if you're a man married to a woman, and you start a business and your woman is involved in the business, or your wife or your girlfriend, significant other, partner, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, now the goodness starts coming. Now the good things start coming, and it starts coming quickly. Why? Because she's helping you manifest. And this is where you get the saying, if two or more ask in my name, it shall be done. It's when it says ask in my name, all it means esoterically, okay, for the common person, they're thinking that, oh, you ask in God's name and it shall be done. No, 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 no. Conscious mind, subconscious mind. It's about those two working together. It's about the conscious mind feeding the right information into the subconscious. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. So when you keep thinking the thought, when the conscious and the subconscious are working together, the subconscious and superconscious automatically work together. Now you have two focused on the same thing. It shall be done. So, what happens when your wife or your woman or your significant other gets in a bad mood? Everything starts going out. The tide starts going out. Things start going wrong. Things start going bad. Why? Because she's unhappy. And because she multitasks. So you can look at it another way. You can look at it like instead of one avenue going out, there's 3 avenues of things going out. There's 4 avenues receding. There's 4 avenues of the tide receding because she multitasks. Then what happens when she gets happy? It all starts coming back. But you have to be aware enough to see these things. You have to be aware enough to go, oh, this is why this is happening. So the next time things are going wrong in your house, if you're married to a woman, okay, if you're a man married to a woman, okay, I suppose women married to women works the same way. Probably more extreme because now you have 2 multitaskers, okay? But take a look at it. What happens when people in the house are unhappy? Problems start happening. Things start going wrong. Everything starts going out. What happens when everybody in the house is happy? Things start coming in. Blessings start coming. If somebody is sick, okay, if things are going wrong, something is out of balance. Something's not right. Women sense these things all the time. I wish I had $1 for every time one of my female clients told me, you know, my husband thinks I'm crazy. You know, my husband thinks I'm crazy, but I know this is going on. My husband thinks I'm crazy, but I know this is going to work. And I tell them, trust your crazy ideas. And then they start to trust in their crazy ideas, and guess what? Oh, my husband's really happy. Why? Well, because we started making money with this thing now. I knew it was going to work. You see? But when an emotional creature, okay, is put down for being emotional by a logical creature, men, logic, there's a conflict. Okay, so this is the conflict of emotion that results in the recession of the tide. Fear of judgment or rejection. How many of you know a woman that loves judgment, that loves rejection? How many of you guys know a man that loves judgment and rejection? I know men that don't care about judgment. I know some men that could care less about rejection. I care less about rejection. But we've been conditioned for that. Deep inside, it's not a good feeling. We just learn to shake it off easier. We learn to go, whatever. We do that. We learn to do that. Okay, with a woman, with an emotional being, it's not as simple. Okay, judgment, rejection. Okay, so here's a tip for you men out there in the audience. Okay, for you men. The less you judge a woman, or let's say you get to the point where you don't judge them at all, heaven will open up for you. Okay, the goodness of the heavens will open up and you'll experience a very, very different world with women. Very different. Okay, don't judge. Don't judge. And don't reject. You don't need to reject. You can ignore. You don't need to reject. There's a difference. There's a difference with just alleviating someone out of your world and rejecting. Okay, this is rejecting. That's rejecting. You don't have to reject. Disconnect. There you go. Disconnect. Disconnecting is not rejecting. Disconnecting is there's no longer any reason why this should continue. And you let go. You disconnect. You don't reject. There's a difference. Okay, now there's the fear of unworthiness. Okay, we're talking about fear this morning and how it is counterproductive to your manifestation or to your accomplishing goals. Either way, because you manifest whether you think so or not. You manifest whether you know so or not. You manifest whether you believe it or not. It's not something to believe in or not. Believe in God. You don't have to believe in manifestation. Manifestation is the result of your subconscious beliefs. That's it. Plain and simple. Your core beliefs. Whatever you believe will form your paradigm. Your paradigm is the way you see the world. Your actions will be based upon how you see the world, based upon what you believe. But the fear of unworthiness, I don't feel worthy. Low self-esteem, I'm not feeling it. Okay? When you're not feeling it, when you have low self-esteem, what happens? You feel less than. Less than what? Less than your potential. Okay? Less than your potential. Less than others. Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning, Jonathan. Nice to see you, brother. Less than what? Less than your neighbor. Less than others. I know religious people that wear t-shirts that say, he is greater than I. What does that make you? It makes you less than. It makes you subservient to something. Do you need to feel less than to God? Does God want you to be less than? No, of course not. God created you to be happy. God created you to be successful. God created you to experience things. You were made in the image of the Creator or the superconscious, however you believe. Universe, Creator, infinite intelligence, all of that. You're here for a reason. But whatever you call this in here, you want to call this a spirit, you want to call this energy, it's all of that. Everything is energy. But this is who you are. You're not your body and you're not your name. You're that spirit. That spirit wears a body because you need these to pick up things to feed yourself. You need these to do things. I use these to play guitar. I use this to write. I use this to write my affirmation. I am so happy and grateful now that I am whatever I desire. I am servicing 2 more clients this week. Thank you. Now, on the other hand, okay, so we have affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. With visualization, it's the #1 way to imprint your subconscious. #1, the fastest way. So I make a gratitude board. This is my gratitude board. These are things that remind me to be grateful. Okay, because sometimes I get busy in here and I have ADHD, and so this goes everywhere. I go everywhere in here, all over the place. Okay, this brings me back to focus. And all you do is put yourself in the center of your gratitude board and the things that you have around or things that you're grateful for. It could be your children. It could be your dog. It could be your house, it could be your car, it could be whatever it is. Okay, but put these things that you're grateful for around you because it centers around you. You are the center. This life is about you. We have been taught humility in a different way. We have been taught humility in the way of feeling less than, being less than. Humility is not thinking of yourself less, or thinking less of yourself. Sorry, it's thinking of yourself less. Okay, it's thinking of others first. Humility is, what can I do for you first? How can I help you first? You know, I have this much to eat. I'm going to feed you first. Here, have some first. You eat first. I can't tell you how many times in the past when I've had a girlfriend or just somebody I'm on a date with or something, or we're at a picnic or something, I said, you eat first. I'll eat after you. You eat first. Because I want her to eat first. Because I'll clean the place up. Right? You eat first. After you're full, I'll finish the rest. Humility is just thinking of yourself less, not thinking less of yourself. Okay, but we always do that because of plantation mentality. In Hawaii, it's plantation mentality. In the mainland, it's factory mentality. The Industrial Revolution gave us that thinking. The plantation gave us that thinking in Hawaii. Why? Because they wanted workers. They did not want thinkers. They did not want thinkers. Why? Because then you get competition. That brings me to two mindset types: competition and creation. Okay? You want to create, you don't want to compete. Creation means there's abundance. You can just create more. You create more with creation. If there's opportunities, you can create more opportunities. You can create tons of opportunities. I have a graphic artist. Every once in a while, I go on a tangent and I create work for her. And we do projects and we do things. And I go find people and go, okay, I have a graphic artist. She can do this, she can do that. And I go get her jobs and I create more. Competition is the other one. When you're competing, you're suggesting that there's not enough. You have to compete. You have to compete for this, that, and the other thing. You're competing. There's not enough. You have to be in competition. I've never had competition because I've never put myself in the position to compete. The only time I've ever competed was for my national awards that I got for different things. For music, for production, stuff like that, production awards, things like that. But it was just a submission. It wasn't a lack mindset. But when you are competing with someone, you're suggesting that there's not enough. When you're creating, there's an abundance. Why? Because there's no limit to your intuition. There's no limit to creative thought. There's no limit to the right hemisphere of your brain. Is there a limit to the left side? Yeah, there is. There is definitely a limit to the left hemisphere of your brain because it's logic. Einstein said, education will take you from A to Z, but imagination, the right hemisphere of the brain, will take you everywhere. This is why it's very difficult for some educated people to wrap their minds around some spiritual beliefs or some energetic beliefs or some principles that are not rooted in logic. Imagination is not rooted in logic, but it will take you everywhere. Imagination. So don't lose your imagination. Don't leave your imagination behind. You're going to need your imagination. There are a lot of people that cannot imagine because they have been taught to live from the left brain. because that's not logical. Oh, that's your imagination. You're getting carried away with your imagination. I was told that when I was 12 years old. When I was 12 years old and articulating my dreams and telling people, "Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be an entertainer. I'm going to play a guitar. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to." And now when I put my name in a browser, everything that I fantasized about when I was 12 years old, when I was sitting down in the valley by myself in nature, daydreaming, daydreaming, looking up into the trees, but seeing the showroom, looking up into the trees, but seeing all these things, dreaming, daydreaming of all these things I wanted to do. Now, when I put my name in a browser, I see all these things. I'm like, yeah, I was thinking that when I was 12. I was thinking that when I was 12, you know. And then there was my horse, and I thought about her when I was on the ranch at 12. Everything when I was 12. All these fantasies and dreams that people tell you, oh, that's just fantasy. No, you can achieve anything. You can have, do, or be anything. The things that I have become are just what I wanted to do. What do you want to do? That's the question. You only need to know what and why. You don't need to know how. The how is God's job. God will figure out how you get from A to Z. God will figure out who to bring into your life and who to, right? Who comes into play to take you to the next level? Who comes into play to open the doors? But as you take the baby step, the doors begin to open. They open, they open, they open. The only time the doors stop opening is when you stop. It's like a motorboat on the lake. And you see the wake in the back of the boat, right? The wake is going, right? It represents energy because there's turbulence in that wake. When the boat stops on the lake, what happens to the wake? It goes away. Okay, think of a GPS. When you think of God, think of a GPS. Okay? The GPS, when you go down the street and the GPS is showing you a way, but you actually know a better way, right? And you go the better way, what does the GPS do? It recalibrates, it readjusts, and then it gives you another option. That's the way God works. That's the way the superconscious works, if you want to say it that way. That's the way the universe works, if you want to say it that way. Because when you change your mind or you change your path, because sometimes we hit the wall, right? You hit the wall. What do? You pivot. Because why? Because otherwise you keep hitting that dead end. And there's no sense to do that. That makes no sense. So now you pivot. Entrepreneurs call it pivoting. We pivot. This doesn't work, we go here. This doesn't work, we go there. We pivot, 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 pivot. But in this process of pivoting, when you listen to your intuition, when you listen to that inner voice, when you listen to God's voice, that's what intuition is, or the divine, or the universe, or source, or whatever, however you say it, whatever you want to believe, however you do believe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. That will put you in the right direction. And then what happens to the GPS? It recalibrates. Then other people are brought into play. And then you meet so-and-so and you go, oh, what a coincidence. I was thinking about becoming an engineer and I met this engineer and he referred me to that company. And then, you know, and I just got my degree and then I met so-and-so like right after that. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. That's the superconscious at work. Your subconscious works with the superconscious. They're partners. And then the right people come into play. And what do we say? You know, funny thing happened today. I was looking for a job at Starbucks and I met this guy and he's actually a manager at Starbucks and he told me to apply at his store. Coincidence? So, reprogramming your subconscious is essential because those are the roots of the tree. Your paradigm, it forms your paradigm. The trunk of the tree is your paradigm. It forms that. Then Your actions are based upon how you see the world and what you believe. And those actions turn into results all day long, 365 days a year, 24/7. And you can program it here with one of these. Okay, so affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Affirmations. I am so happy and grateful now that I work at Starbucks. Thank you. Okay, meditation. Sit still and listen. Be still and know. Close your eyes, be still, and set your timer on your phone for 5 minutes. Work your way up to 10 minutes. You don't need more than 10 minutes. You don't need more than, if you're doing a 45-minute meditation, you're showing off. It does you good. I'm just teasing. It does you good. I'm kidding around. But yeah, it does you good, but you don't need more than 10 minutes to get to the point where you get to flow state where everything starts happening easily and normally. And all the stress goes away. The anxiety goes away. The stress goes away. Overthinking goes away. Now you're focused. And it all happens naturally. It all happens very naturally. And that's what they call flow state. You want to achieve flow state? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. What's the visualization? Create a vision board, create a gratitude board. When you have a thought that's negative, just say stop or say no. Like you train a dog, right? The dog jumps on you, what do you go? What do you say? No. Right? Do that to yourself. When you have a negative thought, no. Refocus. Look at your gratitude board. Look at the things that remind you to be grateful. Look at your vision board. So this is my vision board for my next lease that I'm working on. So that's my next lease. That's what I'm working on. Okay. But distract yourself into things you love and people you love. Okay, if you can picture who you love in your head, maybe it's your son, your daughter, your cousin, your mother, your father, your wife, your husband, okay, whatever, sister, brother, whatever it is, baby, you get that negative thought? No. Focus on the baby in your mind. See the baby in your mind. No. Focus on your mom. See your mom in your mind. No. Focus on the flowers. See the flowers in your mind. You have to distract yourself out of negativity, because if you don't give your brain a job, guess what's going to happen? It's going to take over. It's going to play with you. It's going to pull you into something else. Now, you also have your reticular activating system, which is in your brain stem, which is a filter. Whatever you're focused on, your reticular activating system will show you more of it. So guess what happens if you're focused on problems? It will show you more problems. What happens if you're focused on fear? It will show you more fearful things. And you wonder why you go online and all you see is violence and fear and all this stuff, right? Thank you, Jay. Okay, so we're going to continue this tomorrow because there's much more to say. Okay, we're going to continue this tomorrow. But every morning from 7 to 8, this is my Dharma. Dharma is an Indian word for mission or purpose. And so yeah, we do this. This is my public service. I haven't even done anything wrong and I'm doing public service. But yeah, okay, this is for you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you, TikTok. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Twitch. Thank you, Trovo. Thank you, Facebook. And thank you, Instagram. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning.